Part 117. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1171. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Budo Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu Legend. Thank you Shenjun. An excited look suddenly appeared in the eyes of the beautiful woman Qiu. She knew that Wei Suo promised to come down, at least she would not smooth the Huangting Zone mountain gate. Where is the place where the ancient metamorphic monster is sealed? That ancient metamorphic monster is life or death. Wei Suo didn't have any nonsense at all. He was so shocked that he really wanted to appear in that immediately. Let's see if Huangting Zong's metamorphosis is a spirit or a barbarian. This is not only related to the final result of the terrifying battle of the year, but if there is still the spirit family can survive, I am afraid that it can give him a lot of help. Maybe he can help him deal with Dazushan forged bottles together. I only know that place is in the Wangxian mountain. What is the specific situation inside, but I don't know yet, but as long as Divine Monarch gets there, our Tating Elder Huangting Zone will take Divine Monarch in Huangting Zong's gorgeous name. The nun answered immediately. Yunying Shenjun, have you ever heard of this place in Wangxian mountain? Wei Suo's eyes flickered and he heard the sound from Dazongzong's Yunying Shenjun. Wangxian mountain is a wasteland outside the sky dome in the northern part of our sky. Yunying Shenjun knew that Wei Suo asked that Wangxian mountain must be related to the conversation between Wei Suo and Huangting Zong's nun. So the answer was very detailed. It was a place where a meteorite fell in ancient times. The mountains were shocked by meteorites, like an immortal, and it was so continuous that it got its name. That place is about 30,000 miles from the Sky Dome and about 70,000 miles from Huangting Zone. Everyone, the Huangxianzong's Wangxian mountain has a lot to do with my companion, and it may be very secret. I will go immediately. Wei Suo did not hesitate and immediately spoke to Huang Daijun and others. The matter here is up to you. The four-armed heavenly demons must also be careful. If you find any traces, you must leave immediately. The four-armed heavenly demons have at least half of the power of a real fairy, and they are like the gods and the gods. Dong Xiufoot moves again. Even if all of us join hands, it may not be his opponent. Okay. We will send someone to contact you and keep sending the collected things to you. Although Huang Daijun and others did not know the secrets of the battle between the Ling and the Huangs, but we looked at Wei Suo's look at the moment and knew that this matter was unusual for Weisot, and, together with the heavenly tribulation mentioned by Weizhuo before, they knew that Weizhuo's time was extremely valuable. As for Wei Suo's safety, they are not worried. With Wei Suo's current magical powers, Huangting Zone wouldn't dare to launch anything even if there was something amazing, and even if he could kill Wei Suo, Huangting Zone would surely be the fate of being destroyed. Wei Suo's opponents are now almost completely wiped out. If these people revenge for Wei Suo, so many sects and forces add up, and Huangting Zone will never be able to resist. What's more, Wei Suo's mentality and experience against the enemy are much stronger than the general power. If he really wants to deal with him, I'm afraid he will be seen. Now that they have joined hands together, and along the way, Yuhang continent has the secret territory of Donglei, and Tianzhui continent has a ground snake like Daxizong. The whereabouts of Wei Suo may be difficult for others to control, but they contact Wei Suo from time to time. The things needed for the delivery were delivered without any problems. These are some secret methods of your Dazizong. There is also the Yuhang Divine Sovereign. Your dazzling spirit sword is amazingly useful to me now. These Emperor Heaven's techniques, you can enlighten yourself, even if you compensate. Wei Suo stretched his hand a little, and clicked a few pieces of green notes to Yunying Shenjun and Yuhang Shenjun and others. Yunying Shenjun and Yuhang Shenjun and others suddenly appeared in the eyes of ecstasy. This is also the means that Wei Suo pursues as a profiteer, so that the people who follow you will always have great benefits. The talents who follow you will help you really. The secret of Dazhongzhong's extravagant vajra not to be passed on to Dazhongzhong's inheritance. Needless to say, As far as Yu Hong Divine Sovereign is concerned, some mysteries are naturally more important than the value of flying a magic weapon. This Evil King crown is also an extremely rare thing. Sect Master Huang, this thing is also left to you first, in case of any enemy, it is also very useful. Du Daiyu, you come to the Imperial Emperor's Dankai sword, and immediately take me to the 10,000 Immortals Mountain after leaving the Evil King's crown to Huang Daijun and the Jade Sect Master. Weizhuo will be the fastest he has seen so far. Flying away the magic weapon, the prince's dagger of the sword of Hung Hung was spotted in front of Huang Tingzong's gorgeous female emperor, and the female emperor left the Huangtiandao mountain gate and rushed towards the sky-falling mainland. Wei Suo left Huangtiandao mountain gate and left with this female nun. What exactly does Huang Tingzong mean? What happened? Wei Suo left so anxiously. Seeing such a scene, all the monks around the imperial city are talking, but naturally no one can guess the true inside. Anyway, since he was ready to face the heaven tribulation, Zhenyuan's Wei became as important as the promotion of other supernatural powers, so Wei Suo did not hide anything. Once he left the Emperor Tiandao mountain gate, he directly took out the water demon, and kept using the Emperor's day to eat the tactics. Refining, at the same time also began to enlighten the pattern. Previously from the hands of the Black Bodhi Heavenly Mother and the Holy King Sect Master, he got a total of 19 divine patterns. Among the 19 divine patterns carved into the mountain gate that came to the Emperor Heaven Road, there are still 12 relatively complex marks left in the 7 marks, and this time the Uniying Divine Monarch also handed over a mark. As for the Elder Chu in Donglei's secret realm, he has not yet been able to comprehend an avenue of jurisdiction. However, before the witch goddess had secretly sent a message to Donglei's secret realm, let Donglei's secret realm help Weizhuo collect the complete divine pattern, so this time he also brought 2 divine patterns to Weizhuo. In this way, Wei Suo already had the complete condensed method and the detailed record of the Dao God pattern, and there were 15 remaining pieces to be carved. As for the magic weapons and artifacts that contain God's pattern in him, without knowing the vitality of the God's pattern in the interior and without any record, if you want to condense it out, it will definitely be too late in time, but only the 15 divine lines on hand can be condensed out, and if engraved into the body, his physical body must be able to rise to a higher level. Although the ancient Holy Kings have been passed down for a long time in the Holy King sect, but the Holy King sect does not have any power at all, and can get so many amazing patterns. Because the Holy King's own had never seen Wei Suo so much more powerful than his contemporaries. Only people like Dong Rula and Wei Suo, who have been rare for thousands of years or even thousands of years, can crush all the powers of the same level in the same era, so that so many superpowers have to succumb to follow his set rule. As for the Dao jurisdiction that enlightened some of his strong laws, he was ranked last in Wei Suo's plan, because each distilling a Dao God pattern is also a new feeling for all kinds of heaven and earth vitality, which can make him feel a variety of vitality. The comprehension is clearer, and the farther you go on this road, the more comprehension of your own avenue of law must be easier. Wei Suo's operation of the Water Emperor's way of eating the sun only allowed Zhenyuan and water spirit to naturally flow, which is probably only 1/3 of the speed when it was used to flush the demon cultivation, but this kind of vitality has already made this name Huang Tingzong gorgeous. Nu Xiu was as numb as the former Holy Sect Master and Yulu Divine Sovereign. This kind of practice speed, and can rely on the circulation of true Yuan and water spirit vitality. No wonder it is said that he can refine the water demon and elixir against the enemy to improve the true Yuan. No wonder he is far more than all the powers of his contemporaries, even predecessors. No one can match him. What shocked her even more was that Wei Suo was obviously trying to condense the divine lines, and she saw that with her own eyes. It only took more than 1 hour, and Wei Suo successfully condensed out a pattern. Zheng. 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 Wei Suo had no time to control the mind of the female practitioner, and temporarily stopped the practice of the Water Emperor's devouring the sun, and kept carving this newly condensed pattern into the body. This divine pattern is one of the two divine patterns brought by the elder Chu of Donglei's mysterious realm. It was exchanged from a sect in Yuhan mainland for a lot of cost. Its own spell is called Yinglu Bao Umbrella, is a defensive technique. It is the simplest of the 15 patterns left on Weizhuo's hand. He condensed it at such a rapid rate, but he himself did not have any accidents. Investigating the truth, any spell has its origin, but many spells below the level are very simple. A single vitality rule is equivalent to the strength of the simple origin. These spells naturally do not exist anymore. Out of the source, to stimulate the truth of stronger power. And many of the above ground, powerful techniques are naturally the sum of a variety of vitality laws, thoroughly pursuing the source, and inspiring the strongest power of various vitality laws. The divine patterns made out can naturally be engraved into the body according to the Eternal Holy King Sutra, but after Wei Suo engraved the divine patterns of the Ling Luo Bao umbrella this time, it feels that the impact on his physical body is already extremely small. This is that his physical body has been forced to a certain point. If the gods are carved into the gods, and the simplest image is used to describe it, it is like a non-stop coating of a protective layer on the outside of a piece of iron. Anyway, no matter what kind of protective layer, it is somewhat useful, but if the power evolved by the pattern is not particularly strong, it is equivalent to that the protective layer coated is very thin, and it will resist against the enemy when the time comes. This layer of protection, the layer plays a relatively small role and can easily be broken down. After more clearly perceiving this, Wei Suo was also not anxious. It was still the principle of simple to difficult, because anyway, it was useful, and a divine pattern was hard to come by, and he was sure that these divine patterns to be carved into the body. Along the way, this gorgeous female nun of Huangting Zone took Wei Suo to transfer through the transmission circle, the road between the transmission circle, and he tried his best to use the Dankai Excalibur, but it took most of the daytime, has entered the Tianqian continent. The sky dome of the Tianqian continent completely collapsed, and it is no different from the wild wasteland. There are very few teleportation circles. In order to save time, Wei Suo did not meet with Li Ruohe and Xuanhuan patriarch at the Tianqian continent, but continued to cross. A few days later, Wei Suo and the beautiful female practitioner Huangting Zong entered the mainland of Yuheng. Almost all the superpowers in Yuheng mainland have been in talks with Wei Suo at this moment, and they have received the news long ago. Soon after Wei Suo entered Yuheng, there were monks from Donglei Secret Realm, Wanhuang Palace, Underworld Sect, Tourmaline Sect, and many other ancestors, and delivered many prepared water demon and other objects to Wei Suo. In the hands, help Wei Suo and this Huangting Zone beautiful female scribe to mark the shortest and most time-saving journey. It was only half a day. Wei Suo and the beautiful Huangting Zone female cultivator crossed the Yuheng continent and passed an ancient teleportation circle, approaching the edge of the sky-falling continent. At this time, Wei Suo's Zhenyuan Wei had really entered the late stage of the fourfold of Shenxian, and the remaining 15 divine lines in his hand, together with the Yinglu Bao umbrella, had been carved into it. 5. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users, please visit Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1172. Chapter 1172, The Destruction Frenzy. 200 years. Heaven's dome has been broken for 200 years. For everyone on the Wei Suo side, it was like a blue sky, and everyone was completely lost in their ability to think. Don't that sand clear space, everyone felt the coldness of the bones, and they all seem to be immersed in the cold water. Don't these people have closed their doors, and they have been repairing Old Devil for 200 years without a clearance? Even if Heaven's dome breaks down, they don't even know. The table lust of Weisuo etal is to make the low grey old man and the other young cultivators face each other. Do you know, domineering Reverend Weisuo? Weisuo resisted the feeling of shock, took a deep breath, watching the low grey old man and the other young cultivators. Domineering Reverend Weisuo breaks through true immortal and kills many domains. Outer Heaven's demon. There is no one in the cultivation world no one knows. The look of the low grey old-fashioned old man's eyes was also more intense, but it seemed that Weisuo and others did not seem to be malicious, so he nodded and answered seriously. How long has it been since he broke through true immortal and killed many fields of outer heaven's demon? Weisuo continued to ask with a blank face. 230 years, no, it should be 230 years. The low grey old man thought about it. After he thought about it, this time, even green-robed old man almost fainted directly. Why did the helium in the hibernation gas sea disappear? Primordial yin old ancestor is an old man who is used to the great treasure wind and great treasure. He also said something and asked this. This naked body is not known to the younger generation. According to the records of the classics, it may be related to a secret place change in the hibernation gas sea more than 70 years ago. The change in the geography caused a great treasure tsunami. After more than 10 years, hibernation, the suffocation in the gas sea slowly disappeared. The low grey old man looked at primordial yin old ancestor and smiled bitterly. There are also cultivators who suspect that the suffocating sputum in the hibernation gas sea is related to the giant python, because after the tsunami, the Kamj god sect will refine the water, and will be hibernation gas. The giants in the sea have all been hunted. Now, in the eyes of the grey-haired old man and the rest of the young cultivators, the group of Weisuo is definitely a closure madman who has closed for at least 200 years. And the more I think about it, the more faintly the heart of the grey-haired old man has the uncontrollable excitement. We just stayed in the sand space for more than 30 days, and the outside world has passed more than 230 years. At this moment, I heard the old man in grey clothes say that everyone on Weisuo does not know what it feels like. Weisuo looked at Sea Immortal City and couldn't speak for a long time. Now he finally understands what the powerful energy of the shapeshift great art domain in the inexplicable space and time of the great treasures of King Yu. Legend has it that the legends of the ancient sects that can be used to solve the airspace of different time and space are actually true. Legend has it that some sects are fighting against other sects, or keeping their sects forever superior to other sects, or creating awesome airspace for a sneak peek. In a few days, some have been outside for several years, but inside has only been a few days. The sand space where they are located is actually an airspace with such unique powerful energy. This kind of powerful energy, even the true treasure of the King Bao Emperor, cannot feel the mystery of the naked body, cannot understand, can only use their own divine ability to interfere with some of the origin chi shapeshift great art. Do not let it work. This space and time domain, by means of the desertate race, is certainly not the layout of the shapeshift great art. It must be the secret place ruins left by the ancient sect. In case those early ambush in the inside desolate race great treasure can have no shapeshift great art hit the green great treasure emperor, green Yu great treasure emperor also can escape, but which afraid as long as can delay green Yu great treasure daily days, outside has been a few years, the entire desolate race and spirit race great treasure war, I am afraid also has to the tail surging sound, finally dust settles out. This is clearly prepared by both hands, and the means are extremely sinister. After King Yu's great treasure settled in the void of powerful energy, they did not feel the obvious change, but the sand clearance space has already begun to restore the original powerful energy, and their life essence is not consumed, but they are also precious to miss the time outside for more than 200 years. For more than 200 years, many great treasures of ancient times can be used, but far away, but for their time, for many hundred years, how many things will be missed, How many people will know that they are gone? Already have you ever made a lot of great treasure changes? At this moment, Ling Longtian is probably okay, but everyone like Wei Suo has completely felt that Ling Longtian has been waking up for 6 or 7,000 years and is completely out of the world of his own. Now all of the great treasure Six's Heaven's Dome have completely broken. Ling Longtian also silently read Wei Suo and others who were silent, then asked the low grey old man to ask. All Heaven's Domes completely collapsed between the 6 years, first Cloud Spirit Continent, then Alioth Continent, Lonely Cold Continent, then Fire Stream Great Treasure 6, Skyfall Continent and Hiwa Continent. The low grey old man has also confirmed that Wei Suo and others have nothing to know about the 200 years, and simply answered in great detail. Is Sect Master Huang Daijun and Jade Heaven Sect Master from Western Immortal Dwelling still there? Fen Wukang couldn't help it anymore, and asked in a trembling tone. Can these two great treasures of Sky Black Union? The low grey old man bowed and looked at Fen Wukang, and hesitated. The previous Jade Heaven Sect Master is still there. Western Immortal Dwelling Sect Master Huang Daijun was back Fire Union decades ago. After the heavy blow, it has not appeared, and I don't know if he is still alive or has fallen. What does Sky Black Union mean? Nangong looking but calm down, very polite looked at the low grey clothes old man asked, this way, to tell the truth we have not been born for more than 200 years, since Wei Suo after the life of lust, cultivation world changes, we have no is it understood that the Tao can tell us roughly 1 or 2 of the great treasure between these more than 200 years and the lust of the present cultivation world. Sure enough, a group of retreats painstaking cultivated 200 years of old devil, it seems that there are some relationships with some of the great treasures of Sky Black Union. This may be intercourse. Well, hearing the words of Nangong looking, the grey-haired old man's eyes flash, his heart flashed through such thoughts, but the face was more polite and hot, and said, the original predecessors have actually closed the painstaking cultivation for such a long time, and the seniors can afford it. Underneath, there is nothing in the bottom. It's no exaggeration to say that the changes in these 200 years can be described by the sky after clearing the scorpion. This old man with a deliberately pleasing mind said the same thing. The domineering divine lord ignited heavenly tribulation, killing all the field's outer heavens demon, but it was outer heavens demon, who lives in a powerful field, has entered the void with a slap in the face. At that time, all the cultivators felt that the domineering divine lord's divine ability and past performances would definitely return quickly, with all his Prodeo companion reappearing. But after more than 30 years, the domineering divine lord did not appear, and all of the heavens domes were completely broken. Although the domineering divine lord has long warned that everyone is prepared, all heavens domes have broken down in a few years, but there are still countless cultivators. According to some sects' judgment, great at the time. Treasure a total of 1/3 of the cultivator fell into the rupture of heaven's dome. After so many cultivators have fallen, the animal tide has slowly subsided, and many sects have naturally re-established the cultivator gathering point, which is equivalent to rebuild the city. However, because the number of cultivators is suddenly much less, the number of monster beasts that are normally hunted by normal cultivation is much less, and the monster beast occupies a much wider area. There are also many monster beast groups and high-level monsters in the animal tide beast got the great treasure good secret place. Speaking of this secret place, the low grey old man smiled a bit, so just 30 years later, it suddenly burst into a more great treasure scale. This animal tide has almost swept all the cultivator gathering points. It can be said that it is the most amazing animal trend in the recorded history. It can be said that the cultivation world has been completely changed. The predecessors seem to be unaware of the cave house that was completely closed in a secret place. The beast tide, and later in our cultivation world, is recorded as a dying beast, with half of sect and nearly half of cultivator fallen. All of the original cultivator pools and cultivator gathering points no longer exist. There was such a great treasure of the beast, half of the sect and cultivator fell, including Wei Suo, All the people are shocked and difficult to add, and there is a feeling of being unreal. After that devastating beast, all the remaining sects were consumed in 7 or 88, and the number of cultivators was also sharply reduced. They were once thousands of people and sparsely populated. Seeing that Wei Suo and others were very shocked, the low-ranking old man smiled a bit and said, "The older generations may have to be mentally prepared. The change between the 200 years may be the cultivation world. The change is the most great treasure, and now our cultivator and monster beast status has completely changed. We are now cultivation in the world. There is no heaven's dome inside and outside of the concept, cultivator and monster beast, then completely secret place at the disadvantage, and more than 200 years ago heaven's dome when compared to the cultivator, only a few of the scale of the city at that time, the rest of the gathering points are very small, and are hidden up, in case the linkage high monster beast now, it is easy to cause the beast tide will be the cultivator gathering point." Swallowed. Our current cultivation world has fallen into this situation. Han Wei and others only feel that they are almost fainting. I know that the seniors are unacceptable for a while, but I am afraid that it is very difficult to change the situation in the short term. Now our cultivator is too weak and small compared to the monster beast. It can only survive. Many sect and family, and even rogue cultivator are consciously multi-child, but our cultivator is more powerful than the treasure. Monster beast is too slow. It will take at least a few hundred years to restore the number of previous cultivators. The low gray old man said the secret place, but he remembered what it was like. He slapped his head and reached out to show more than 10 pieces of blue-colored shapeshift great art. The older generations are afraid that they have not avoided this kind of body animal character. This kind of animal avoidance can dispel the unique atmosphere of monster beast, which can make the great treasure most high-level monster beast think that our cultivator is only monster beast, although the senior's cultivation base is high, not comparable to me, but with these things can at least be less but a lot of trouble. And now many cultivator gathering points are afraid to let go of the restrictions so that the cultivator without such an animal can enter, and there is fear that there will be any monster beast along the way. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1173. Chapter 1173, 4 Path of Cultivation Countries. After cultivator killing monster beast cultivation, after Heaven's dome completely cracked, it has already fallen to the point of sneaking away from survival. For a time, even Nangong Yuking stayed for a while before he caught the 10 yellow shapeshift great art character in front of the low gray old man. There are not many of these animal-avoiding singers. If you are willing to be a senior, I can lead the way for your predecessors. One of our cultivator gathering points is not far from this secret place. When you can give enough predecessors to your predecessors. There are still some unfortunate points for the seniors. Now that our cultivation world Heaven's Dome has cracked, there is no boundary inside and outside of Heaven's Dome, and there is no such thing as the Great Treasure 6 of Shapeshift Great Art. After the low gray old man said the sentence, the tone was obviously more cautious and cautious. Now the most great treasure problem in our cultivation world is the battle between our cultivator and the monster beast. In addition, there is a battle between our cultivators themselves. Our cultivator itself fights together. Wei Suo finally calmed down the snack, and shook his head helplessly, convinced that he could only accept this fact, and took a look at the gray-haired old man. Do you mean that great sect is fighting each other? You can say that. In the cultivation world, what is the highest cultivation base in the cultivation base? From the Wei Suo to the heavenly tribulation to the present, is there any domain outer heaven's demon born? This, the old man in grey has been talking at his own pace. Now Wei Suo interrupted him so suddenly, and asked a bit of awkwardness. After he bowed, he reacted, now the cultivation world, cultivation base, the top should be several great treasures from Backfire Union and Ancient Desolate Union. It is the cultivation base of divine mystic fifth layer, but according to our Lord, 2 of them have reached the peak of divine mystic fifth layer 30 years ago, and it is not possible to break through true immortal now. As for the domain outer heavens demon, the way divine Lord killed the 100-bit outer heavens demon. Since then, it has never heard of any domain outer heavens demon. So the highest word is just true immortal first layer. Wei Suo is a little relieved. Even if it is the real true immortal first layer, with his current divine ability, there should be no problem with great treasure. Just true immortal first layer, Wei Suo is relieved, but the tone of his sentence is that the old man in grey and the young cultivator behind him and his temples are jumping wildly. There is an indescribable feeling in his heart. Is this, the human cultivation base has reached the point where even true immortal first layer is not afraid. These people did not think that Wei Suo in front of them was already recorded in the classics of more than 200 years ago, the mythical domineering divine lord. Since the number of cultivators is only a fraction of the original, it is reasonable to say that the culture resource should be increased by great treasure. How can there be no more cultivation base in these 200 years? Logically speaking, the top great treasure in the cultivation world can now be more than this cultivation base. As far as I know, more than 200 years ago, many cultivators had arrived at the cultivation base of the divine mystic fourth layer fifth layer. After Wei Suo sighed a little, he asked questions in his heart. The predecessors said that it makes sense in the 30 years since Heaven's dome just collapsed, the degree of cultivation of the cultivator is generally much faster than before. It can be said that the golden core great treasure cultivator is several times more than the previous one, and even there have been some places where spiritual chi is deposited, but then there was the tide of the beast grey clothes. Old man Rai, smile a moment, explain Wei, destroy the world beast tide, not only cultivator fall nearly half, and many sects reserve also used up, be destroyed by monster beast destruction. The remaining surviving cultivator, although relatively accounted for more resources, but we cultivator the quantity is too few. Cultivator gathers the point also to be few, many pill recipe even because some spiritual herb collects not to have shapeshift great art refining, anyway because cultivato are collection and intercourse easy inconvenience, as well as many concocting pills. Artificer of the fall, spirit pellet, and shapeshift great art is less than before the production of a lot, and this time the beasts of the world, there are many very high monster beasts, and even destroyed many of the original great sect occupied spiritual stones veins and some spiritual herb growing places, so that now even spiritual stones and some ordinary spiritual herbs are hard to find. Even if the number of monster cores hunted is only a lot, it is useless. If we don't have the foundation of 30 years, now we are cultivating the world. I am afraid that there is no such thing as the moment. It will be even more difficult to survive. And now between cultivator Deo companion, the number of children raised is much more than before, but many don't get enough funding resources, especially for children born between the 230 years, the average cultivation base is very low, even a lot of natural talent is not good, just don't let culture, no waste of resources. So now every cultivator gathers, but there are quite a few ordinary mortals who don't have any culture, just to do some chores for the cultivator. So it is Wei Suo suddenly reacted. It is a truth to have fewer people, but people are less than a certain degree, too weak, and the conditions of survival and cultivation are even more difficult. In this case, even if divine mystic great treasure can collect a thing, I am afraid to run many places in person, spend a lot of time, run the lust of countless cultivator gathering points, and the great treasure cannot be easy. Then what do you say about the battle between great sect now? After vision flickered for a moment, Wei Suo asked. Now I can only think of the secret place. At least 2 years ago, there was no desolate race, and no powerful deserty race was born. Their safety is no problem. Heaven's dome completely cracked after that 30 years, all the sect forces, or fear that domineering divine lord suddenly return, or was only the hidden world do not want to outcrop, so they do not dare have any move, but also according to the domineering divine lord laid down the rules, all the people are fair intercourse easy, even those spiritual chi siltation of the land, is also great treasure home altogether, all cultivator are swarm, can squeeze how many people crowded, see personal ability to absorb spiritual chi. Now in the book of the 30 known as God U30, is the most wonderful cultivation world brilliant, incredible 30, all cultivator cultivation the fastest 30, there have been many surprised to adopt the characters, but after the extinction frenzy, cultivation world thoroughly pieces, at one point it seemed as if all the people had become rogue cultivator, and domineering divine lord had not yet appeared, and everyone began to accept domineering divine lord has fallen, has been a domain outer heaven's demon last shot killed, the fact of destruction. The old man in grey sighed and seemed to admire Wei Suo. Without this character who can hold everyone in the same era, and the cultivation world itself has been smashed, it has begun to be completely chaotic. Many forces that are still tyrannical after the extinction of the beasts began to snatch resources, which naturally formed a battle between the cultivator and the cultivator. After this kind of animal tide, in the wild place of the secret place monster beast, many cultivators and some sects that have been hit hard have not had any self-protection ability, so all the cultivators gathered at some gathering points are self-competitive with those forces. After more than 100 years of fighting, the cultivation world is now basically like the ancient ones, forming 4 paths of cultivation. The grey-clothed old man looked at Wei Suo and others, and he was in the form of a secret place. I know that the seniors of these 2 generations were not born for more than 200 years. I am afraid that the cultivation world is actually the same as the ancient ones. An alliance like the path of cultivation. Now these 4 ancient cultivators are the same leagues, the Sky Black Union, the Moonstar Union and the Ancient Desolate Union. Each of the leagues controls the area of the great treasure and tries to ensure that it is among the leagues. Cultivator security. After the meal, the old man in the grey coat added, speaking, the cultivator in our cultivation world is now more united than before the breakdown of Heaven's Dome. The cultivator great treasure of a coalition will help each other. Because of the lust shape at the moment, if the cultivator does not help each other, it will be difficult to survive. Wei Suo is also speechless, it is the same change of the blue sea turned into mulberry fields, the landscape has not changed especially great treasure, but the entire cultivation world has completely changed. I don't know what the identity of the Tao is, what alliance is it, after silently shaking his head, Wei Suo glanced at the old man and several young cultivators. As you said, the ages of several roads are very light. If you are in a cultivator gathering point, it must be the cultivator is different. It doesn't matter, I am the cultivator of Moonstar Union. I am the elder of the Moonstar Union. These are the level disciples of the Moonstar Union. I and several other elders and their young people are the guards of a cultivator gathering point near our Moonstar Union. The old man in grey clothes replied with respect. This grey-clothed old man is not stupid. He can see that no matter how these people look, they are very reasonable people. The more respectful and polite they are, the more they will not suffer. How are the mutual enemies of several of your alliances? I listen to what you mean, it seems that the relationship is very tense. Among the several leagues in yours, what are the great treasures that have been used until the break of Heaven's Dome? Wei Suo looked at the grey-haired old man and asked, now that great treasure has made clear the lust shape of the current cultivation world, he even wants to know what the people he knows are. The most powerful treasure of the current power is Backfire Union and Sky Black Union are completely hostile. Between our Moonstar Union and Ancient Desolate Union, and between the 2 leagues, well water does not make rivers, but now the Backfire Union is too great treasure, I am afraid it will soon be bad for our Moonstar Union. They have already had some cultivators, and they have already entered some places we control. As for the Ancient Desolate Union, it has recently expanded towards us. Although the great treasures are also hiding from the monster beast, the Backfire Union sites are Skyfall Continent and Alioth Continent, as well as the small half of the heavenly profound continent, entering their area, and they are definitely against the enemy. Sky Black Union is now only a great treasure half of heavenly profound continent. Our Moonstar Union is part of the great treasure half of Cloud Spirit continent and Lonely Cold continent, as well as many areas of Lonely Cold continent and Fire Stream Great Treasure 6, and the original Hiwa continent was the site of the ancient Desolate Union, the gray-haired old man said in detail about the 1510. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1174. Chapter 1174 The Origins of the Past. There are 4 great treasures that resemble the ancient gods and repair the country. In ordinary times, even in the 2000 years, there is no obvious change in the repairing of the Taoist world. However, when we heard the old gray-haired old man of Moonstar Union, Wei Suo, and others knew that the changes in these 200 years may be more than 20,000 years of change. The lack of spiritual stones and spirit pellet, as well as the various great treasures, was beyond their imagination. This gray-clothes old man said very clearly, although the name of such a region is a certain league site, but that is only cultivator between the boundaries of power division, that site within the cultivator or hiding, many areas are great treasure quantity of monster beast occupy, there are many linkage extremely high monster beast even no spiritual stones and so on cultivator to cultivate is very important, so even destroyed great treasure amount of spiritu the al stones veins and some spiritual herb produce more abundant wilderness. In the past, for some great sects, the survival of some cities and cultivators that have nothing to do with them has nothing to do with themselves, but now it is completely different. For a great treasure league like the repairing country, it's good. A cultivator gathering point is at least equivalent to a store, at least some to cultivate resources can be gathered. Although now the grey clothes old man has not said that these several great treasure union whether has the mountain gate the matter lust, but the entire repair road boundary lust shape, now is already very clear, this is like the entire repair road boundary divides into 4 huge great treasures city, but the city inside is monster beast occupy, and each cultivator gather set point equivalent to is a hidden in one of the small shops. Now the entire to repair resource of the repaired roads is to be provided by the small shops scattered in the secret places, and the intercourse is easy to communicate with each other. As a result, every small shop is of course for the league. It's very important to have a small shop like the one with a previous spirit field and one spiritual vein. Listening to the old man in grey, the number of cultivators is now reduced, the land has never been seen before, and the road between these cultivators is not close, and the cultivator gathers the reason why the gathering point becomes a cultivator gathering place is that the great treasure is mostly because some things are produced nearby. And if there are some cultivator gathering points, or some of the spirit pellet and the refining of the sputum will just lack some of the ingredients produced in those places without refining. In this way, each cultivator gathering point is of course very important for every great treasure that repairs the country, and will be protected as much as possible. It is estimated that the league is very great treasure. A group of cultivators is like the military corps in the ancient cultivator. If there is a problem, it is necessary to rush over. Like the grey old man and so on, it is obviously the same. One of the powers of this cultivator gathering point. Now every cultivator gathers great treasures, which are very secret places. It is just like the secret place store recorded in the previous revision of the classics. In addition to a few cultivator gathering points, great treasure most cultivators don't know about the cultivator of other leagues, and many cultivator gathering points will change places frequently, in order to prevent other alliances from attacking Wei Suo and others are listening silently, and the gray-haired old man of Moonstar Union is talking about it. His meaning is also very obvious, even if the Wei Suo group cannot win the Moonstar Union, at least the most great treasure degree to please Wei Suo and others, at least let Wei Suo and others have a good impression on Moonstar Union. After all, this if a group of people is absolutely intimidating and stays in which league area, it will suddenly increase the strength of the alliance. In this way, there should be communication trade between the cultivators of the league itself. It is only the secret place. Is there any trade between the great treasures? Upon hearing this secret place, Wei Suo's heart lust also calmed down completely. Now I can only accept this fact. He can only comfort himself in his heart. It is only within 30 days that heaven's dome has all been broken, and then it has become such a situation. Now the various great treasures are indeed the same as between the ancient repairs of the country. There are very few exchanges. They are all set up to collect and refine what they need to fulfill themselves. Especially in the current situation of very tight lust, only our Moonstar Union and Ancient Desolate Union occasionally have some intercourse, and there is basically no exchange between the rest of the great treasure. When the old man in grey clothes heard Wei Suo asking questions, his face was full of smiles. This is why the resources to the cultivation are so tight now, and even the great treasure batches are not qualified for to cultivate, and no spicy herb is obtained. Can be used with the cultivator to do something lust mortal. How many cultivator gatherings do you have at Moonstar Union now? How many people are there for each cultivator? Han Wei also couldn't help but also interjected and asked this. They have read many records, know that the current situation is almost like a return to 100,000 of years ago, Heaven's Dome after the establishment of a 20,000-year period. I am afraid to cultivator number up, and monster beast the relationship between the full advantage, will evolve into the lust of the that they had previously repaired, but there was Heaven's Dome in the past, now there is no Heaven's Dome, the future of the repair road to the lust shaped, but who do not know, like a origin chi is running the track was changed after that, no one knows what will happen later. Our Moonstar Union has more than 1,000 cultivator gathering points except for a few gathering places where great treasure can sit, the rest of the great treasure cultivator is in the thousands to 10,000 name around there are a few cultivator gatherings of about 1,000 and a few hundred people, and each cultivator gathers about a great treasure about 1/10 of the people are ordinary mortals without any cultivation. The old man in grey clothes replied respectfully and said it was very detailed. Only so much. Wei Suo and others looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. To know in the former days great treasure 6, only the region at least thousands of cultivator cities, and each city is at least spirit peak the city almost, there are tens of thousands of cultivator, now 7 GRE treasure 6 equivalent to become 4 road country, but these 4 repair the country 1 of the Moonstar Union, also only more than 1,000 cultivator poly set point, the number of cultivator, really only the previous few 1, even less. If you are interested in your predecessors, you can go to our guarded cultivator to see it. The old man in grey clothing saw the appearance of Wei Suo and others, and revealed a smile that was pleasing. It is also possible to feel more intuitive about the changes in the current road. After all, if you were in the previous repairs, even if you retreat 1,000 years, there may be no special great treasure changes, but in the past 200 years, it is too different. Our cultivator gathering point is less than 3,000 miles from this secret place, just in the direction we just came. Okay, then trouble fellow deist leads the way. I don't know how fellow deist is called. Wei Suo did not refuse, nodded, and said, but I am really like a world, I don't know. Now I am repairing the road and the lust shape of these great treasures, and I want to talk about fellow deist. It is. The seniors are too polite. In the next name, Ma Mingji, as long as you know it, it is natural to say nothing seeing that Wei Suo and others are very good talking and have a good temper. This grey-haired low-backed man suddenly smiled and immediately glanced at several young cultivators, and then respectfully followed several young cultivators. The front has taken the road. While leading the way, I kept talking. Our Moonstar Union was built with some sects from the original Great Treasure 6 and Firestream Great Treasure 6. In the midst of the beast, the Great Treasure 6 and Firestream Great Treasure 6 because of less production, more monster beast, more great treasure, most cultivators almost all chose to escape to Cloud Spirit Great Treasure 6 then, Moonstar Union was slowly formed. Now, Moonstar Union has built a star city near the original Cloud Spirit Great Treasure 6. If some of the predecessors are rare, they will find something difficult to find, or they will meet with some of the great treasures of our alliance. If you can, go there. There is a lot of similarity to the old city, and there are many things for sale. The few great treasures of our Moonstar Union can be the former Great Treasure Treasure 6 True Thunder Sect and Firestream Great Treasure 6 Star Territory, Xuanhuan. I don't know if you are familiar with the seniors. Speaking of this, the gray-haired low-backed man looked at Wei Suo and others with eager eyes. If Wei Suo and others knew some of their older characters of Moonstar Union, if they had intercourse lust, they would pull them to Moonstar Union is great treasure with hope. True Thunder Sect, unfortunately Wei Suo and other people's reaction is doomed to let him down, because Wei Suo and others for the other two sect really not familiar with, True Thunder Sect and Wei Suo and other people some relationship, just True Thunder Sect except Sect Master, Wei Suo also only seen at most one or two, there is no special intercourse lust cultivator. As for Kui City, Wei Suo and Yin Liwa people are very clear, originally is located in Cloud Spirit Great Treasure 6 Central Region an ordinary town, produce some only as low-grade note the green jade. Now who is the great treasure of Moonstar Union origin at True Thunder Sect? Wei Suo glanced at the low-gray old man and asked, what about the Zhangsun aristocratic family before the great treasure? Now, whether Zhangsun Jing and Zhangsun Ziru are still there. The seniors and the great treasure of the Zhangsun aristocratic family can have intercourse lust. The eyes of the low-haired old man suddenly showed a shocked and disappointing look, but the face still did not dare to neglect, immediately said, speaking of the Zhangsun aristocratic family, I would like to say the Sky Black Union. The Sky Black Union is also said to have many connections with the domineering Divine Lord. Now Sky Black Union Great Treasure most of the great treasures were friends with domineering Divine Lord at the time. Now Zhangsun Jing is one of the mainstays of Sky Black Union, and Zhangsun Ziru is also one of several Divine Lords of Sky Black Union. Sky Black Union is the group of people we used to be, Zhangsun Jing and Zhangsun Ziru are still there, Zhangsun Jing has become the pillar of Sky Black Union, and Zhangsun Ziru has already broken Divine Mystic Wei Suo suddenly felt like a burst of incomprehensibility. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1175. Chapter 1175 There is no tiger in the mountains, and the monkey is called the Great Treasure King. It seems that there is a great treasure relationship with Sky Black Union's great treasure, but fortunately, there is no conflict between Sky Black Union and our Moonstar Union. The old man in the grey coat looked at the color and saw the look of Wei Suo and others. Together with Wei Suo, who asked Huang Daijun and others, Wei Suo was sure to be old with Sky Black Union's great treasure. Our Moonstar Union origin at True Thunder Sect's great treasure can be the Nine-Ray Divine Lord, which was previously a true disciple of True Thunder Section. Although Maji was somewhat disappointed, he went on to say, after all, this is not a particularly bad news for him. After all, the lust of Sky Black Union and Moonstar Union is not a good one. It seems that the great treasure of your Moonstar Union cannot be known to us, but the people of Sky Black Union and I are indeed old knowledge. Just then, Maji also heard Wei Suo's answer. Before I heard you say, Sky Black Union seems to be against the Backfire Union, and the lust situation is not good. As far as I know, the previous Huang Daijun and Zhangsun aristocratic family are not great treasures. How can they instead in a bad situation? Wei Suo answered Maji's sentence and then asked. At that time, Wang Wei and Sushengxiu and Tourmaline sect master seemed to survive the heavenly tribulation. Together with Saint King sect master and others, the strength of Huang Daijun should be extremely amazing. There are some unknowns from the predecessors. After the advent of the beasts, many great sects great treasure cultivators, even a lot of great treasures can be degraded, and there are still a lot of great treasures that can be used between the 30 years of the glory. Come out, it is very different from the ages that your predecessors knew. At least as far as I know, the great treasure cultivator and great treasure that were good with the sky black union intercourse were among the great beasts, such as the famous Saint King sect master. Grey-shirt Maji looked at Wei Suo and said, and backfire union's great treasure can be more. As early as 100 years ago, backfire union and sky black union had many great treasure cultivators and great treasures that could fall outside. Missing, outside guessing is certainly also caused by the mutual calculation and assassination of the two sides in the wild. In recent years, the struggle between the two sides has reached the bright side. They are robbing each other of the resources of many cultivator gathering points. There are several great treasure battles between the two great diplomas, but the total naked body is sky black. Union has eaten great treasure and has fewer and fewer sites. Backfire Union is now in a decade like the swallowing of sky black Union. Speaking of this secret place, Maji said with earnestness, if the seniors and some of the important figures of sky black Union have old intercourse, the younger generation hopes that the seniors will try to help sky black Union and our Moonstar Union, because I am afraid after backfire Union dealt with sky black Union, it was to deal with our Moonstar Union. Since you are also afraid that backfire Union will deal with you, why don't you join sky black Union? Han Wei heard a surging sound. There are too many reasons for this. Ma Chi smiled a bit and said, now we are a few ancient cultivators between the several great treasures. It has been entangled for 100 years, and it is not combined with the desire to unite. Scruples, and in the event of a joint with sky black Union, will incur the first deal with backfire Union and ancient desolate Union. Anyway, the current lust shape of the four great treasure leagues can only be as old as the ancient cultivator. Han Wei, although she still whispered a surging sound, her head is also very flexible. I know that Maji said it makes sense. Because now this kind of alliance similar to the ancient cultivator has been completely different from the previous cultivation world. Each cultivator and each cultivator settlement are equivalent to the resources of the country. This is the same as the ancient cultivator. The country will definitely limit the flow of cultivator in its own country. In case there is no limit, the cultivator and cultivator gathers at random to other countries, and the path of cultivation country may soon be the strength of great treasure. In fact, there are many more complicated reasons. For example, several parties have been confronted for hundreds of years. Many hostile relationships have been ingrained. The grievances of cultivators between different leagues are intricate, and there are obvious boundaries in their own camps. Unlike the previous sect, pure interest union is as simple as that. What are the great treasures of backfire union now? Wei Suo vision flickered for a moment, asked. Backfire union is now the most important of the great treasures of Divine Lord Zantai Linglan and Divine Lord Yezaimei, and the God of the Gods, Beibegui Meizu replied immediately. Day 9 Divine Lord? Zantai Linglan? Upon hearing these two names, Wei Suo suddenly rolled one's eyes, and I do even Han Wei was swearing a surging sound. Divine Lord can still bear a little bit of it, but Zantai Linglan is a great treasure fly for the Wei Suo people, and the endlessness is endless. 9 Divine The Lord had previously been talking to the domineering divine, but later, after the tide of the beast, it was determined that domineering divine Lord had fallen. He was not afraid of anyone, and Zantai Linglan was completely trapped. Even Heaven's dome after the rupture of the God you 30 years have not come out, abruptly missed the 30 years, but then the beast tied together, sky black union of those great treasure cannot control the place to live, but instead let him out. This person's next cultivation base is not slow, and divine mystic fifth layer has been around for decades. As for the divine lord of Biming, it is said that it has a cultivator that has many inheritances from northern bright section. It is said that the year heavenly profound continent northern part heaven's dome first rupture, northern bright the sect to resist, moving the inheritance restrictions, is the great treasure. Most of the mountain gate sank into the underground fire veins, and later in the beast tide, that secret place Terra, and there are changes, some important places of destruction. floated out, but northern bright sect people almost have no lust condition. An irrelevant young rogue cultivator just received the inheritance, the results of the current northern Ming divine lord. As for the god of the gods, Yan Baigui, I don't know what the origins are. It is probably a rogue cultivator. It is very unique, and it is said that there is a real immortal armament in the hand. Huang Daijun was injured by the man. Ma Ji said in detail. This is really no tiger in the mountains. The monkey is called the Great Treasure King. Both Han Weiwei and green-robed old man can't help but feel depressed. Now, if we are going to find those people in Sky Black Union, how can we contact? Wei Suo was also very depressed. At that time, he was still acquainted with Divine Lord. After the lion's great treasure opened his mouth, he let go of the Divine Lord. I didn't expect to be afraid to meet with him when I was scared. The goods are now actually dealing with their own people. However, the news of Zantai Linglan made him still a little deflated. The guy was actually a hard-working man who had been trapped in the void for decades. Surely he was trapped in the decades to vomit blood. If the seniors are going to find the old knowledge, it is not difficult. We also know that Sky Black Union's few secret place cultivator gathering points, going forward with the cultivation base of their predecessors, can certainly alarm some important people of Sky Black Union. At that time, it is easy to see the old knowledge of you, Ma Ji said with a slight hesitation. Okay, thank you fellow deist. Wei Suo has always pursued the past, and this Ma Ji has saved a lot of their hands and feet. Wei Suo also feels that he can give him some good secret places at that time. Ma Ji went all the way, but he still deliberately pleased. After all, even if Wei Suo didn't have any indications, as long as he could have a good relationship with Wei Suo and others, he would be rewarded by some important figures of Moonstar Union. Work beautifully. Is this spiritual stones and the ordinary medicine pill so precious? And then talked with Ma Ji intercourse. Ma Ji knows a little about some divine mystic great treasures, but the understanding of the cultivator and cultivation world below Golden Core is inexhaustible. Wei Suo etali also know a lot from it. The value of spirit pellet used by spiritual stones and culture is now 10 times higher than the previous cultivator. In other words, if the previous low-grade rogue cultivator earned a product of spiritual stones in 1 day, it would take 10 days to earn a product of spiritual stones for culture. That is to say, the scarcity of the culture resources is 10 times higher than before. No wonder that the people who are not high in natural talent are not even qualified for the culture. Do not pass any skills, just do some simple production and planting and other things. Lust. Cultivator aggregation point between the road great treasure more than tens of thousands of miles above, almost no teleportation array of the same, so now cultivator out, are to take a variety of can avoid monster beast. If there is a special need for cultivation things, one is only through a number of small caravan acquisitions. One can only pay attention to the message. In these cultivator gathering point, some places still have great treasure type of intercourse ye. And now the cultivators between several great treasure leagues have their own boundaries. Each cultivator will have a league token that identifies itself. For example, the cultivator of Moonstar Union enters the site of Ancient Desolate Union for no reason. That is to cross the border. It will be regarded as provocation, and it is definitely to cause a fight. The cultivator that enters the site of other great treasure alliances is naturally quite a lot, but they are also secretly entering. One is now suffering from life. Before they were also the escape light of Wei Suo and others, they came to explore. Where is the cultivator coming from? It is also the cultivation base of Wei Suo etal. It gives them a feeling of being too high. Otherwise, they are not as good as their cultivator. If the identity is unknown, they must set it down and say it. Now see, Immortal City is not much monster beast this week, and among the several great treasures, it belongs to a cultivator gathering point that is not too disputed, so it is still calm. There is nothing for decades. Other cultivators of the league will commit. After flying for a while behind Maji and others, Wei Suo and others arrived at the first cultivator gathering point after more than 200 years. This cultivator gathering point is in a valley among the three low peaks, full of white mist, but inside is a burst of monster beast, giving people a lot of wind attribute monster inside. The feeling of beast gathering. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1176. Chapter 1176 Looking for an old person. That heaven's dome after the rupture of the God U 30 years, the creation of the golden core great treasure cultivator many, so now the O will great treasure most cultivator gathering points are there are golden core great treasure cultivator, now cultivation the world golden core great treasure cultivator number and compared to the past is also a lot, but the cultivator core great sect golden, either rogue cultivator golden core great treasure or cultivator, are not is a sudden explosion, accumulation and experience of the time is relatively long. So now cultivation world are considered now golden core great treasure cultivator divine ability, but it is 200 decades ago golden core great treasure cultivator, and many sect old antique level figures have fallen, now golden core great treasure cultivator GRE at treasure are the layer base of the golden core layer second cultivation, golden core fourth layer the fifth are very few. Perhaps in the next few decades or even hundreds of years, the number of divine mystic great treasures will be less than before. Although we have some fixed cultivator guards for this kind of cultivator, it is definitely a disaster if we are monster beast at some high level, and we don't say there's a lot of divine mystic now and then. Our beast appear, and cultivator aggregation point 1 exposure, it is easy to cause the beast tide, so we each cultivator gathering point is not only to be careful not to be other union cultivator present, and more important is not be powerful monster beast perceive, these secret place is really domesticated a group of wind-winged beast, but also deliberately not more control, let it's wild. The cultivation bases of all the predecessors are very amazing, but they still hope that the predecessors will try to hide their breath. The younger generations should have some role in the predecessors of the predecessors. Otherwise, our people may not be able to suppress those monster beasts. All of them are scared away. It takes a lot of hands and feet. After Maji introduced a few words in front of the valley, he said apologetically. At this time, the surging sound of the beasts was constantly coming out of the white mist, obviously it was the feeling of Wei Suo and others, and was shocked. Some people are trying to control these monster beasts. This is necessary Wei Suo nodded and there was no nonsense. At the moment, he and Wu Shenhu, primordial Yin old ancestor, Feng Wukang, Yu Feng Reverend and others all ignited a beast. This animal avoiding character should have been developed by the cultivator in the past 200 years, but it is followed by a faint yellow monster chi envelope, which gives the impression of a wind attribute monster beast of about 4. It's just that this faint monster chi can only cover a person, which means that a beast can only be used by a cultivator. Among Wei Suo and others, more than a dozen people with the highest cultivation base used this animal to avoid the animal, and all the beast's surging sound were slightly blanked. The way we have several owlies to avoid the monster beast is also different. Our Moonstar Union mainly relies on this animal avoiding character. The higher level is the shapeshift great art that can accommodate more people. Sky Black Union's cultivator comes directly to rely on some great treasure type monster beast, directly masked by monster chi of the great treasure type monster beast. Backfire Union is a special purpose shapeshift great art. They rely on the bandits shapeshift great art to walk directly through the ground. The shapeshift great art itself is equipped with the earth attribute shapeshift great art array. Walking through the ground is like a stone, which is hard to attract the attention of the monster beast. So their cultivator gathering point, the great treasure is mostly in the mountain naked body or underground. As for ancient desolate union, seeing that Wei Suo and others were very good at talking, Maji continued to introduce, but did not speak. The number of surging sounds in the valley below, but also several escape light shots. Senior brother Ma, what are these seniors? This is from the valley below, a thin-faced middle-aged man in a green shirt and several young cultivators wearing the blue and white shape-shift great art clothes, but just seeing Weisuo, etc. people, these people suddenly revisals some shocking look, they all prayed, and looked at Maji. Although Weisuo and others used the shape-shift great art to hide the cultivation base and breath, but with the unique power of Weisuo and others, these people naturally feel that the cultivation base of the other party is far away from themselves, and naturally feels it seems to be facing a great treasure mountain. Especially for the middle-aged people who are also golden core first layer cultivation base, Weisuo and Wushenhuo, and primordial Yin old ancestor give him a strong great treasure feeling, even in the face of their own club divine mystic great treasure can't be used anymore, which naturally makes him know that he is not the same, and he is shocked. These seniors were the intercourse of Sky Black Union Zhang Sunjing and others. They just retired the culture for 200 and several decades. This came out and they didn't know anything about Heaven's Dome. So I invite these seniors to our cultivator gathering point to let these seniors know about the current cultivation world. Said, Ma Ji is looking forward to Weisuo. After all, he said so much, but he did not know the name of Weisuo and others. In the next season, it used to be Heavenly Profound Continent's rogue cultivator. After so many years, I am afraid you have never heard of it. Weisuo knows that if he speaks his true identity, these people are shocked and unbelievable and the explanations are estimated to take a lot of time, so he does not want to bother, just use the most commonly used pseudonym. It has been more than 200 years now. I don't know what kind of rivals there will be. He thinks that he still hides his identity. It is better to have a secret place in the dark secret place. At least you can find out the details of some of the opponents. It is estimated that it was an extremely powerful rogue cultivator of the self-built Dongfu. At that time, so many people were preparing to establish a section they just thought that it would be a change, but the world was changed. The heart of the middle-aged people of Maji and T-shirts is such a thought. Chenjie, a younger generation, had the privilege of seeing your predecessors, and your seniors. Please, how did the middle-aged man in the green shirt not know Maji's thoughts? Now he also gave a tribute to Weisuo and others, and then made a gesture of asking, and he took the road ahead with respect. As soon as I entered the valley, Weisuo and others saw that the vines with rough grit treasures were planted in the valley, all of which were entangled, but the whole valley was covered with dents, in and out. They all come in and out of a hole that can only accommodate a few people. In the valley, there is also a faint mist, and a densely built bluestone house is built in it. Many cultivators are active inside, and it is very lively. The current cultivator gathering point is really compared to the previous cultivator city without shapeshift great art. Weisuo and others just looked at the lust scene inside, and couldn't help but look at each other. They all saw the desire of shapeshift great art in the others' eyes. The bluestone house in this valley, seeing the great treasure, is half of the cultivator residence, the culture, and the store, while the other half is the barn, all of which are all sorts of monster beast. And many of the bluestone houses, as well as the rest of the valley's rest of the great treasure piece of great treasure, are placed in spirit field, planted with some herbs. In the eyes of Weisuo etal, these herbs used to refine some of the medicines of low-grade medicine pills such as chi recovery pellet. And there's a lot of activity around spirit field and a lot of animal pens. There aren't many ordinary people who don't have any cultivation base at all, and there is no such thing as shapeshift great art. And at a glance, among the cultivator gathering points, the great treasure is also the low-grade cultivator of Divine Sea Realm and Heavenly Circuit Realm. Compared with the previous city, the current cultivator gathering point can only be described as simple. There is not much powerful restrictions. Originally in the previous Heaven's Dome and the relatively small number of monster beasts near Heaven's Dome, monster core and some common herbs are hunted and collected, but now this low-grade monster beast is already inexhaustible. In the case of lust, it seems to be a great treasure. Some monster core and spiritual herb rely on cultivator for animal husbandry. This only shows that the cultivator is too dangerous to survive outside. Now are these shops that can buy something for you? After Wei Suo and others looked at the scene of the cultivator gathering point, Wei Suo asked Ma Ji and Chen Zhe to ask. Of course, but I am afraid that the time is slow. I don't know what the seniors need. When we heard Wei Suo say that, Ma Ji and others were shocked. This is a good opportunity to please Wei Suo's great treasure. I need a true sun, immortal grass and a golden crow. Wei Suo looked at the two, one of the two things to help Yin Liwa lift the eternal youth dark pill's potency, and the other is the only thing that green-robed old man has. It was one of the main purposes to enter this cultivator gathering point. After saying this, Wei Suo asked, I don't know how the cultivation world now has the lust of the shapeshift great art great treasure and the shapeshift great art. How is the value of the Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure now in the cultivation world? Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure. Ma Ji and Chen Zhe apparently took a look of air conditioning. The predecessors, now Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure, are extremely rare in the cultivation world. They are extremely precious. If the seniors want to buy, I am afraid it's hard to find because there are very few golden core cultivators in hand. After he hesitated, Ma Ji gritted his teeth, but if the seniors really want it, I can wait until I can contact my great treasure of Moonstar Union to see if I can come up with a few pieces. You misunderstood what I meant. Wei Suo smiled a little and looked as he imagined. Now, no matter what level of shapeshift great art great treasure is scarce than before. I mean, as long as I can help me find these two things, I can even give a few pieces of Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure to intercourse. What? Use Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure to intercourse? Ma Ji and Chen Zhe were obviously shaken completely, and they could not speak for a while. I feel that we have become a tyrant. Both Han Wei and Shui Linger couldn't help but sound transmission to the ears of Wei Suo etal. At this time, some people who have known each other have not fallen, and there is no strong great treasure adversary and deserty race great treasure can appear. The heart of the pedestrians is rather relaxed. After all, Wei Suo and their previous fights were not meant to be able to survive, no need to be afraid of being dealt with, but now it seems that they can live like this. It's a good thing to meet with you. These two things are even a meeting. Wei Suo said a few words after the sound transmission of Ji Ya and others, but he said this to Ma Ji and Chen Zhe, who were completely shocked. This, Ma Ji and Chen Zhe are even more shocked, because Ji Ya and Nanggong Yuking took out two shapeshift great art great treasures in front of them. With their eyesight, you can be sure that this is two real Dao rank shapeshift great art great treasure, and it is not Dao rank, it seems to be Dao rank middle grade. You seniors, such a meeting was too amazing for them, and both of them even had some thoughts that they could not accept. However, Wei Suo just looked at the two indifferently and said, "You are welcome. The next two things, I am afraid I will bother both and Moonstar Union. If I can help me find those two things, I naturally owe you a person lust. Thank you for your predecessors." Ma Ji and Chen Zhe are both intercourse happy, and it's almost like two shapeshift great art great treasures. Senior Ji, can you tell us about the naked body look and characteristics of these two things? It will be more convenient for us to find Moonstar Union. This is natural. Wei Suo put a note of the note directly in front of the two. I don't know what the predecessors want to do next. Can we inform us that some of the great treasures of Moonstar Union can come and meet with your predecessors? Maybe more great treasure for the help of your predecessors. After the two men took care of it, Maisie asked this again. Not anymore. You can tell me the location of the naked body of the cultivator gathering point of the Sky Black Union that you know. If you find what I want, then you can set up shapeshift great art to contact Sky Black Union. Wei Suo now wants Ma to know how the lust shape of Zhang Sunjing etal has a naked body, and Zhang Sunjing and others will definitely tell them more about the present, so he no longer wants to stop doing anything. When we heard Wei Suo say that Ma Ji and others are very interested, Naturally there is not much to say. Wei Suo and other people have been told a few places. After saying a few precautions, they have taken out enough animal-avoiding characters, and then Wei the pedestrian Suo quickly disappeared into the sky near the former Sea Immortal sect. This chapter transitions to the Lust Festival, and the daughter burns for 3 days. After hanging for 3 days, the water has not returned to fever. I feel anxious in my heart. I am not in the state. I can only compensate for the number of words. You should understand the solution and the next chapter should begin. Wonderful. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1177. Chapter 1177 West Sea Great Treasure Meeting. Half a month later, a wild land, a group of great treasure about 100 cultivators, is plundering. This batch of more than 100 cultivator are driving ahead monster beast. These monster beast are very fast, flying in the air are brought out a sharp break surging sound, and naked body type are not small, the smallest eagle the shape of the monster beast, spread wings also have 2 feet long, and these monster beast are chi and blood strong, look is extremely suitable for the journey of the appearance. This batch of cultivators is for 2 men over 40 years old. They look like they are almost the same. They are all black lacquered square faces. They are actually twins, and they are all repaired. Great art, golden core cultivation base, the body of spiritual chi looks like a black great treasure sword outside. The remaining rear of more than 100 cultivators, the cultivation base is uneven, some have the cultivation base of the thought division realm, and some have only the cultivation base of the divine sea realm 4/5 layer. The cultivators rushed and swayed, and they kept looking back. The look was extremely tense. It seemed that there was something terrible behind them that was catching up. 6 predecessors, what happened? Suddenly, more than 100 cultivators behind the 2 twin golden core cultivators are now the 2 golden core great treasure cultivators, and the naked body is also stiff. Just when many people are worried about the sudden out of the surging sound, the sudden slight magnificent light flashes in front, without any signs, suddenly appeared in the midst of a cyan figure. A middle-aged cultivator with a plain face and a sallow face wearing a very ordinary cyan shapeshift great art suit appears in the eyes of everyone. Reassured, I am not the one who chases you. Just as the more than 100 cultivators were in turmoil, they were all swaying out of origin chi's volatility. The middle-aged man with a smudged yellow face looked at them indifferently and said quietly, "Excuse me, seniors, 2 twins golden core great treasure cultivator." The first person on the left suddenly glanced at all the cultivators behind, indicating that they would not act rashly, while the other one asked for surging sound. Although the blue shirt cultivator has no fluctuations in the edge of origin chi, but they both cannot feel the other's cultivation base, the 2 golden core great treasure cultivator know that the other party must have great treasure. I am Zhang Sun Jing's old, surname Ji. You should be a Sky Black Union person? Is the Backfire Union person chasing you behind? Green shirt wax yellow face cultivator looked at the rear of these people and asked. Is it a friend of Senior Zhang Sun? As soon as I heard the blue shirt cultivator, all of the more than 100 cultivators were all happy. Senior Ji, we are indeed the people of Sky Black Union. The people of Backfire Union are coming to the fore. According to our previous exploration, at least 6 golden core great treasure cultivators are coming. But then the 2 twins golden core great treasure cultivator is also nervous. There are several black gold crocodiles on the other side, faster than us. It is possible to catch up at any time. We must leave. Don't leave, they are only over 1,000 miles away from here. With your embarrassment, even if you escape, you can't escape too far. Green shirt wax yellow face cultivator smiled slightly, said. This person had never heard of it before. It wouldn't be a person of Backfire Union. It is a mystery here, dragging us so that people behind Backfire Union can catch up. Hearing the green shirt cultivator, then says shapeshift great art, the more than 100 cultivators suddenly came up with such thoughts. Don't worry, I won't lie to you. The green shawl cultivator seems to understand that these people like shapeshift great art, but also laughed. Hand brilliance, a black fire rose up, around the entire body, naked body around a circle. Suddenly a terrifying heat and a shocking origin chi wave oscillated. Predecessors are gods. The two twins, the golden core great treasure cultivator, suddenly felt a shock, and the face renewed an incredible look. Okay, just know it, save yourself from scaring people. The green shirt smudged face cultivator squeezed the eyes, and the black fire instantly disappeared into the invisible. This predecessor turned out to be divine mystic great treasure. No wonder it's a friend of Senior Zhang Sun. At this time, all the more than 100 cultivators behind the two twins golden core great treasure cultivator have also thoroughly reacted, and the faces reveals an ecstatic look. There are seniors sitting here, naturally no fault. The two twins golden core great treasure cultivator are all aoka deep breath, looking at each other. What's the matter? But it's fine. The green shirt wavy face cultivator saw that the two twins golden core great treasure cultivator seemed to have some burning with the look of the end. Well, this backfire union is likely to be against our sky black union of the Western Sea great treasure. The oncoming is extremely ferocious. We have received another secret place cultivator gathering point of help, said that the existing great treasure quantity backfire union cultivator is marching toward their secret place. We want to rush to rescue, but did not think our side also encounters the treasure you of great backfire group neon cultivator. We are all in our own way, said the shapeshift great art to distract the pursuers. Let the rest of the road first flee. Among the twins golden core great treasure cultivator, it is still the right of the golden core great treasure cultivator. It is said, there is a spiritual stones vein near the secret place that has just been mined, which is crucial for our sky black union since the predecessor is divine mystic great treasure. Can you help and rush to rescue? If we can deal with the latter people very quickly, if we hurry, we may still have time. Oh! Green shirt cultivator vision flickers slightly. The secret place cultivator, where is the gathering point? And I have been retreating for many years. I don't know your sky black union with naked body, you west coast great treasure. What is it? Meaning. Also, you said that the place name is best to say the ancient place name before the heavenly profound continent heaven's dome cracked, otherwise I am not very familiar. Upon hearing the sudden appearance of the secret place divine mystic great treasure, the two golden core great treasure cultivators and the rear more than 100 cultivators suddenly couldn't help but ecstasy. The golden core great treasure cultivator replied quickly, our other secret place cultivator gathering point is near the Fei Isling Mountains, less than 20,000 miles from this secret place great treasure. As for our Sky Black Union's West Sea Great Treasure meeting, it is our 3-year grand event of Sky Black Union. In addition to the most great treasure intercourse in the league, there are some great treasure cultivators, many of the old people's recruits. Many the cultivator gathering point will send some young children with good natural talent to the great treasure of the West Sea, so that the old people can be selected as the disciple. There are also some cultivators that have made outstanding contributions to the league, and will also receive public rewards at great treasure. As for this year's great treasure of the West Sea, there is a special significance, that is, Zhang Sun Ziru's predecessors. Zhang Sun Ziru clearance. What does that mean? Green shirt wax yellow face cultivator suddenly a glimpse. Seeing the green shirt cultivator, the cultivator present is more skeptical, because if it is backfire union's cultivator, it won't even know this. Predecessors do not know. Zhang Sun Ziru predecessors cultivation is the cocoon of the work. This work shapeshift great art is the Zhang Sun of previous aristocratic family B cannot pass a D on secret. The work of top-grade shapeshift great art, many marvelous, to divine mystic, every breakthrough first layer base, but it will be a cocoon-like rebirth once, great treasure, the flesh and true you and the power of a more astonishing ascension, but every time the cocoon is reborn, it must be closed to sleep for nearly a decade. This time, the great treasure of the West Sea, is the day when Zhang Sun Zairu's predecessors broke through the divine mystic fourth layer to the divine mystic fifth layer. Among the twins Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator, the one on the right smiled bitterly. Now the West Sea Great Treasure will be approaching, Backfire Union Great Treasure is attacking, and it is clear that we want to make our West Sea Great Treasure messy, giving us embarrassed meaning. Zhang Sun Zairu is actually such a mysterious shapeshift great art, which has also broken through the divine mystic fourth layer to the divine mystic fifth layer. Green shirt wax yellow face cultivator. The original relaxed face is a look of embarrassment. They did this. It was just that we had to do something happy. They were not sure to take our house off at once, but they set fire to the 4 secret places in our house to prevent our happy events from being comfortable. And they want to use this, even if you have a great treasure to go out, there is nothing, just to give you a down roar, completely folded your prestige. After some embarrassing look, the blue shirt cultivator was easily stunned with a surging sound and smiled. So, the West Sea Great Treasure will be near. It's just after the 15th twin Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator, the horse answered. In this case, it is just a matter of giving her a few gifts, congratulations to her, and let her be happy. Green shirt wax yellow face cultivator laughed and said to himself. Well, since there are still things in other places, then don't waste time, first solve these people and say. After talking to himself, after the horror and unclear gaze of the more than 100 cultivators, the singer's singular cultivator added a sentence, today's business, about me, don't spread it out so that it won't be known to Backfire Union people. Shua. Just when the more than 100 cultivators including the twin Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator have not responded, there is no obvious movement in the green wavy face cultivator. Suddenly, the 2 cyan divine light flashed out instantly. Just 1,000 miles away, suddenly broke into the ground. It seems that there are moments of dragons stirring in the ground. The area under the ground is instantly tumbling, dozens of escape lights and 2 giant great treasures of the black essence metal crocodile shapeshift great art great treasure from the underground and its empire. The situation flew out. But the power energy of the 2 cyan divine light has not disappeared yet, but it disappeared from the ground, just a twist. The remaining 2 essence metal crocodile shapeshift great art great treasures, which were more than 10 feet long, were twisted. A few interceptions, a cultivator inside screamed and flew out. 1,000 strokes in a single hit, and also drilled into the ground. All the ground soils of the shapeshift great art great treasure were minced. All these cultivators were forced out. What kind of divine ability? For a time, all of these cultivators were blank and lost their ability to think. But let their shock have not stopped. This blue shirt cultivator seems to be a step forward. It seems that there are countless rays of light in the sky above the secret place. Immediately, all the cultivators that fly thousands of miles away seem to have suffered. Invisible thunder, the whole body naked body is a meal, trembled in the air. Shua. Subsequently, the blouse face cultivator was just unhurriedly stretched out in the air for a while, a tarnished great treasure hand condensed in the distant secret place, one hand, all the cultivators were caught photographed, no one has the ability to resist. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1178. Chapter 1178 is not a copy. It's Black Snake Old Devil. And the Clock Old Devil. Dear God, really 6 Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator, and the 2 Old Devil are inside, thousands of miles apart, even a few face to face are all caught, one is not free. What is this Junior G, what kind of divine ability? Our Sky Black Union, suddenly there is such a great treasure. The West Sea Great Treasure will be approaching, and our Sky Black Union suddenly has such a strong help, it is really elated. Not only are there more than 50 cultivators flying in the sky, but even more than a dozen cultivators hidden in the ground have been caught by the green shirt cultivator. When these people are all caught in front of them, the batch of Black's cultivator has only returned to some gods, and they are screaming out of surging sound. They have already seen it clearly. Among these nearly 70 cultivators that have been captured without any resistance, there are 6 people who all come out with spiritual chi and form various shapes. 2 of them are gloomy 60-year-olds. The black spiritual chi is a black great treasure snake with a flat neck. The other body, spiritual chi, forms a cyan great treasure clock. Inside. These 2 golden core great treasure cultivator are very well known in the Sky Black Union and Backfire Union. One is golden core 4th layer stages cultivation base, a golden core 4th layer late stage base, has killed a number of Sky Black Union cultivation Kori great treasure cultivator Old Devil. Usually the Sky Black Union cultivator talk about is tricolor change. Before this batch of Sky the cultivator of Union is through some buried in the underground restrictions perceive the other side has 6 golden core great treasure cultivator, but also did not think, among them have such 2 fierce name illustrious Old Devil level personage, if already knew, this I'm afraid the people are scared to death. The other side has these 2 old devils, obviously it is necessary to deal with them, there is a point to kill the chicken with a knife, but it is hard to imagine that the other side has such 2 old devil in fact. The face of this green shirt smudged face cultivator is not at all any effort to fight, like a chicken caught. After grabbing nearly 70 cultivators in front of them, the singer's singular cultivator pointed out splendid light, and all of the nearly 70 cultivators were given restrictions. There are several golden core great treasure cultivators. I will take the questions first. The rest of them, you look at the secret place. I will then rush to the secret place cultivator point you mentioned, you just have to manage your safety. Then, after taking 6 golden core great treasure cultivators to their side, after this sentence of the cultivator intercourse of the Sky Black Union, the green shirt cultivator body flash of intuition, just a few breaths between then, with the other 6 golden core great treasure cultivator disappeared into the front of the mist. With this senior G rushing, even if Backfire Union eats Fifeiling, I am afraid I will even spit out my stomach after the escape light of the green cultivator has disappeared for a while. The cultivators of the Sky Black Union are completely reacted, shocked, and ecstatic, picking up the smashed Backfire Union cultivator. Stand up. It seems that Zhang Sunjing's situation is very bad. Beaten to the secret place, the green shirt wavy face cultivator continually flew for a while, stopped, and in front of the clouds, there was a great treasure group, one of which was a silver white but silver shirt beauty cannot help but against the green the shirt sallow face cultivator smashed such a sentence. This green shirt wavy face cultivator is naturally Weisuo, and the snow white but silver shirt beauty group is naturally Han Wei and others. After leaving from Sea Immortal City, Weisuo and others rushed to Heavenly Profound Continent. Now there is no transmission shapeshift great art array, pure to rely on their own road, and then add the outside is indeed monster beast groups, there is a refuge, Weisuo and other people are met several batches of great treasure group monster beast, and even fight to kill both sides cannot see the level of the situation 8 monster beast, and really did not happen to encounter any cultivator gathered point. It seems that if not just meet Maisie and other people, Weisuo and others will think the whole cultivation world are extinct almost, think cultivator all die 7788, and never think of now cultivation world has formed 4 path of cultivation kingdom, great treasure home are hiding come, secret place is gone. Now, for Weisuo, the situation is not tense, so his mind devouring bug is suffocated by him, and he is in a deep sleep. I don't know that this is already mind devouring bug of divine mystic. How long will it take to sleep this time? After 10 days of entering the heavenly profound continent, Weisuo and others rushed to the 2 cultivator points of the Sky Black Union that Maji said. As a result, a gathering point has all migrated and another gathering point. However, it is obvious that the signs of the shapeshift great art are fierce, and it is obviously being smashed and looted. This secret place is located at the gathering point of the Sky Black Union cultivator near Heavenly Profound Continent northern part North Luo City. It is already the 3rd cultivator gathering point that Weisuo and others arrived, and when it arrived, it was already gone. However, these cultivators fled soon, and Wei Suo and other talents chased them. Now Backfire Union Great Treasure Action. There are certainly a lot of cultivators near Backfire Union, plus this Backfire Union's Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator. Wei Suo is not afraid to contact Zhang Sunjing and others in a short time. Zhang Sunjing, they will hold the Great Treasure meeting of the West Sea 15 days later. We can give them a surprise and help them solve some troubles first. Now I will go to the Centipede Mountain Range first. After Wei Suo and Ling Longtian, Han Weiwei and others said a few words, they immediately rolled up the Black Snake Old Devil and threw the remaining 5 Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivators to Ling Longtian and others. Walking Step Shapeshift Great Art, first rushed toward the Centipede Mountain Range. The current cultivation world estimates that as long as the Desertate race is not born, there are no people who can pose a fatal threat to Wei Suo, plus Wei Suo. Next, culture does not know how many monster core and spiritual herbs to consume, but also waits to collect many water attributes. Monster core and spiritual herb, so Wei Suo is very leisurely, and one person comes to work, so Ji Yat and others are assured of the relationship on the road. Moreover, it is easier for him to hide his identity by himself. Otherwise, the great treasure piles out all, and the shock is too great treasure. However, it is also possible that older people have guessed their identity. Not to mention Wei Suo, now Ling Longtian's cultivation base is great treasure, Divine Mystic 3/4 layer are not her opponent at all, plus Wu Shenu and Primordial Yin Old Ancestor, and they have all studied Tathagata Divine Glow, as well as Immortal Tears, are estimated to have no one to win them. Therefore, Wei Suo is only afraid of playing too much, and the 2 guys Divine Lord and Zantai Linglan are scared to find it, so it is not very fun. After all, this kind of lust is really extremely confusing, and it is really not easy to find someone. Ka cha a surging sound, Laozi debut, he, scared you both. Wei Suo walks through the clouds and is the shadow shift great art of Black Bodhi Tian Muo. If there is a cultivator in a few thousand miles, the horse will be inducted by him. It is impossible for someone to show him, so when I thought that I suddenly appeared in front of Divine Lord and Zantai Linglan, the table lust of Divine Lord and Zantai Linglan, the more I wanted to be more proud, I couldn't help but feel dizzy in my heart. But it seems that I don't see my brilliant image clearly in the classics. I started to show up, and Maji actually couldn't recognize me. Wei Suo thought of this, but he sighed himself. On this point Wei Suo was mistaken at that time. Those records of the books of the cultivator, in fact, many of the classics is his image and deeds recorded very clearly, but later Heaven's dome cracking, but also suffered a sudden extinction of the beast tide. Absolutely great treasure. Most of Sek's work Shapeshift great art classics have all been destroyed. The books about him are of course less to stay, but also more than 200 years down. Relish the time has long passed. Maisie and other Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator somehow also know some of his deeds. Great treasure. Most of the low-grade cultivator is not even know at all. At the moment, the entire cultivation world, I am afraid that only the old people who have seen him in the past will recognize him. In those days, those characters did not have 200 or 300 years of life essence. Except for the old antique and divine mystic great treasures of some Golden Core 4/5 layers, no one should be able to recognize him through the face. And unless it's his own identity and a thorough display of divine ability, even if you see it, I'm afraid it just happens to happen, it looks more like it. Hey, you're called the Black Snake Old Devil. Come, let me tell you what your Backfire Union plan is. What do you want to do? After Wei Suo's own pride, he reached for a shot and let the Black Snake Old Devil speak. You are who, dare to do it right with our Backfire Union? You know the Black Snake Old Devil still can't see the situation, and the great treasure is smashed. Dang. But the Black Snake Old Devil has not finished a sentence. His head was suddenly knocked on by a great treasure thing, knocking his head and screaming, his forehead is great treasure, a great treasure package. You don't know me, don't you know this stuff? Wei Suo smiled at the black snake old devil he with the great treasure flying sword. Isn't it a copy of the screw your sister flying sword? After the black snake old devil stunned, he cried again. No, actually there are imitations. Do you have a copy of Double Divine Mystic? Wei Suo was a bit dumbfounded. After taking a picture of the great treasure flying sword, he shook his head and retired to Divine Mystic Origin Chi with real immortal Chi. You, the black snake old devil swelled his eyes, like a 17-8 egg stuffed in his throat. What are you? I have been using void walking step shape shift great art for so long. You haven't reacted until now. How did you get to the golden core? Let me say it myself, don't you know that it will be very faceless? Wei Suo shook his head again, holding the giant treasure door flying sword and knocking on the head of the black snake old devil. Beige, the black snake old devil is about to die. Hey you, don't talk nonsense. Let's say, you backfire union is now doing what? When a surging sound, Wei Suo hit the door with a flying sword and knocked on the head of the old devil. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1179. Chapter 1179 Grilling Snow White Butt Meat, I like the intercourse to eat. Heavenly Profound Continent's Feeling Mountain is because the place has often had a level 4 monster beast, so the name of the entire Feeling Ridge is like 3 gimmicks connected together, 3 rounded hills. Before Heaven's Dome didn't break, the Heavenly Profound Continent northern part had a crack and the number of monster beasts was quite a lot. At the moment, on the south side of the Feeling Mountains, the Great Treasure has about 300 names of the Backfire Union Cultivator, which is controlling several grotesque bandit shapeshift great art machines, staying in a low-lying mountain forest. In this batch of Backfire Union Cultivator, 2 people are the most eye-catching, 1 person red light around the naked body, the spiritual chi emerging from the head forms a head of great treasure red small treasure beads, the other one is green, but it is condense a dozen or so rotating hose. Spiritual chi condense red grass treasure the cultivator of the bead is wearing a black leather gown. The head is gray and somewhat obese. The face is a smile that looks like a smile, while the other person is pale and very thin. Kitheo, we have so many people, why do you say that the old man is so careful, wastes so many hands and feet at this moment? His face is pale, and the green, golden core great treasure cultivator is talking to the golden core great treasure cultivator, who has always been a smile. The green cultivator speaks, and the surging sound sounds sharp, as if a piece of Borneal is broken, making people sound very uncomfortable. Forest Road, chapter Old man is very shrewd, I heard the news before, said that we are an extremely alarming great treasure characters from this line, usually good, that is fixed reward, this time if done well, just the great treasure characters happy words, it is very possible to reward the good things in person, and then it will not be enough. Now wrap it up first, although the hands and feet are much more expensive, but more than the other cultivator, more to scrape a little something, the battle is even more beautiful, this chapter old man may not want to swear every cultivator inside. Some obese golden core great treasure cultivator is still a smile. Important great treasure? Is one of the divine lords in our league? Body green gas dense skinny cultivator immediately took a surprise. Probably anyway, when we wait for it, look at it clearly and try to grab some natural talents, beautiful young female cultivators and children. Now these great treasure characters pay special attention to these, and it is hard to say who can make these great treasures the most happy. Obese golden core great treasure cultivator he a smile, the back of all the 300 or so cultivator also immediately took the hint, are nodding each other, reveals a clear understanding of the look. Accordingly, it is almost the same. How can the old man wait for something? It will not let us wait, he has already touched it, waiting for the half stick of incense, the obese golden core great treasure cultivator couldn't help but frown. Bake Snow White, but I like intercourse to eat. At this time, a surging sound that made these people stunned, passed from the left side of the secret place. Who? The green succulent cultivator and the obese golden core great treasure cultivator suddenly changed their face. At this time, they felt that there was a clear fire attribute origin chi wave in the mountain forest less than 1,000 feet away from them. I didn't feel the proximity of anyone at all. Bake Snow White, but I like intercourse to eat. No one answered them, only one young surging sound that listened to last year's not great treasure continued to come. Who is a god? Two golden core great treasure cultivators made a glance at more than 300 cultivators behind them. The horse, more than 300 cultivators, either dispersed in the mountains or drove in various essence metal shapeshift great art. The underground is all in the direction of the past. This. Two golden core great treasure cultivators flew in the front, and soon saw a smoke rising in the forest, and the two golden core great treasure cultivators suddenly saw the moment when they saw the scene below the smoke. The feeling of ghosts, the eyes are cracking. There is a small stream in the woodland. There is a cultivator with a green sallow face on the side of the creek. There is a fire. Next to the fire is a Snow White but white, with a 3-person monster beast. And now the green shirt wax face cultivator is in the fun, leisurely barbecue. The tail of the Snow White but white monster beast was cut off by a great treasure, and the man was inserted into the fire with a great treasure branch. Now it is baked golden outside, the meat inside is white but white, there is a drop of oil dripping out, the aroma is overflowing, and it looks so sweet and tender. The Snow White butt of the great treasure, like a lizard, is like a fish. This monster beast is called Snow White butt great treasure. It is a rare ice monster beast. It is indeed recorded in the classics that the meat of this monster beast is very delicious, it is delicious on earth, and it has a little effect on enhancing the cultivator naked body. The key is that this monster beast is the level 6 high-level monster beast. Cultivation world, there are several people who can really eat and support a level 6 high-level monster beast to roast. And the two backfire unions golden core great treasure cultivator is very clear, they are the old man led by backfire union, that is, taming such a flying white butt great treasure, and it has been advanced once, the old man divine ability itself, and a few of them are just like this, relying on this fly white butt great treasure, they pressed them. But now, there is actually a person who doesn't know where it pops up. He is happily roasting this flying Snow White butt great treasure. Now, the kebab is placed on the sizzling tail of the fire, and there are half people. Great treasure is small. Bake Snow White butt meat, I like intercourse to eat, both of you have to look at the saliva, do you want to eat it? Just when the two felt like they were damn, and they couldn't believe their eyes, the cheerful bread cultivator of the barbecue was directed at the two people. He said this sentence, and then pulled a golden skin. Inside the white but white strips, savory and eaten. Eating, who are you? The fat golden core great treasure cultivator, which has always been a smile, feels that his skin is cramping and the surging sound has changed. A burst of quirky surging sound sounded, and more than 300 backfire union cultivators have been encircled, but I don't know what to do if I see such a lust scene. My surname is Zantai, and I am famous. Wax face cultivator laughed, said. Zantai Linglan, all backfire union cultivators are a glimpse, and all of them are responding. This person is pasting them. After all, there are a few of them who have seen Zantai Linglan, and even if they haven't seen them, Zantai Linglan looks like them. Death, fat golden core great treasure cultivator horse want to call a surging sound killed him, after all, his side more than 300 cultivator here, and around a few parties there are many backfire union cultivator in, even if the other side some eccentric also don't need to fear, but he a kill word has not fully shout out, only feel a stiff, mouth already stuffed a dark thing. In addition to the obese golden core great treasure cultivator, all the cultivators on the Backfire Union side are scared. The succulent face cultivator just took a look at the obese golden core great treasure cultivator and reached out. The obese golden core great treasure cultivator had already been stuffed with mud. Puff obese golden core great treasure cultivator the violent spurt of cold sweat, until now it is now a mouthful of mud. If you don't eat meat, you can only eat mud. The succulent face cultivator is laughable and harmless, and the meat strips are eaten up. At the same time, it seems that in the shop, the folks are told to take things. Understatement, of course, you first put all the shapeshift great art devices and the treasure receiving pocket, what the intercourse came out, and then took off the shapeshift great art. Full of green gas dense skinny cultivator cold sweat, but obviously do not want to submit, body green light great treasure flash, but his body green light just flashed. Sallow face blue shirt cultivator seems to just glanced at him. All people do not feel any origin chi fluctuation. The skinny cultivator's face is instantly distorted, the eyebrows appear in a crack, surging sound tone did not come out on the ground. Everyone feels that there is a cool feeling like a ghost touch. Others, I still give the most mud, you dare to do it to me, you are doing it to me, it's really bullying and destroying your ancestors. The succulent face cultivator did not look at this skinny cultivator, talking to himself. There are 5 or 6 most peripheral Backfire Union cultivators that can't stand it, and want to escape, but the 5 or 6 cultivators are almost just moving. This succulent face cultivator just a few fingers, these 5 or 6 cultivators all of them fell down one by one. Except for the obsessive golden core great treasure cultivator, the other cultivators present did not even respond to Wei Suo's shot. What, isn't it clear enough that I just said? The succulent face cultivator laughed, and continued to roast the meat, bake snow white butt meat, I like intercourse to eat. All of these Backfire Union cultivators are cold and sweaty, and I don't know who is the first action. It's alright, all of these Backfire Union cultivators are the various intercourse out of the shapeshift great art and treasure receiving pocket. Then I took off my shapeshift great art. Many cultivators are not wearing any clothes, white flowers, buttocks, a great treasure piece, a great treasure piece. Okay, very obedient, there is meat to eat, come and eat together with barbecue. The succulent face cultivator haha smiled and made a louder surging sound bake snow white butt meat, I like intercourse to eat. Great treasure after just a sip of tea, there are countless times when the origin chi wave rises from the north side and flies toward it. This ambush in another direction of Backfire Union's cultivator felt that it was not quite right here and rushed over. As soon as I saw the scene here, the 300-year-old Backfire Union cultivator was even more violent. I saw a great treasure pile of white flowers, bare-chested guy, obediently next to a great treasure fire, roasting a white snow but great treasure. The daughter burned back, and the heart was a little fluttered, and it might be written in a mess, great treasure family also forgive me. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1180. Chapter 1180 A Cloud Through Arrow. The 200 cultivator faces of Sky Black Union, which first rushed from feeling, were all with a deadly table lust. The Sky Black Union cultivator at the Sky Black Union has already had a great treasure Backfire Union cultivator approaching, but they are also very fast and have been surrounded by Backfire Union's cultivator. Although there has been a message for help, the nearest cultivator gathering point of Sky Black Union, which is closest to the secret place, has about 20,000 miles, and from the strength of the surrounding Backfire Union cultivator, even the cultivator gathering point is Sky. The Black Union cultivator came over and it was estimated that the Backfire Union cultivator could not stop the secret place. The newly emerging small spiritual stones vein in the cultivator cluster has begun to fill the Sable Thunder Fire Stone, ready to destroy indiscriminately, and all of the previously extracted spiritual stones have been distributed to more than 100 the fastest cultivator body. The role of the 200 Sky Black Union cultivators is to act as an arrow to see if you can disrupt the backfire of the Backfire Union cultivator and let the Sky Black Union cultivator with a lot of spiritual stones and other culture resources escape as many as possible. But the 200 Sky Black Union cultivators that rushed out of the table with a deadly look were also instantly sluggish. There are hundreds of Backfire Union cultivators in the forest on the left side of them. At least 5 of them are Golden Core Great Treasure cultivators. But the cultivator of the 100-year-old Backfire Union is now nearly half full of light, with a Great Treasure white S, and the other half is just wearing close-fitting clothing. Is this the latest tactic of Backfire Union? All streaking against the enemy, showing contempt for their own strength. This is the first lust shape. The 200 Sky Black Union cultivators have lost their thinking ability in the Great Treasure brain. I don't understand why. A lot of anxious and frightened Great Treasures from the rear cultivator gathering point were called. What's wrong? What lust situation? How do you all stop? And the more let 200 arrows as the Sky Black Union cultivator how do not understand is, this **100 Backfire Union cultivator. Each hand is also with a branch of a golden, inside of the meat snow white but tea white delicate, brave the oil bead of barbecue, a pair of food is not, do not eat also is not, cry is not, laugh is not the appearance, look more eccentric on how odd. Brothers, don't be nervous. These guys feel that I am eating meat, so I decided to leave the Backfire Union and join the Sky Black Union. Just as the 200 Sky Black Union cultivators were in the air, and the Great Treasure brain was deprived of oxygen, a succulent cultivator, also with a Great Treasure block of barbecue, came out and took a sip of them. Grilled meat, said. Hearing Weisuo, the squadron is either all light or half naked, and the Backfire Union cultivator with a branch of barbecue is really crying. What is it that comes out of Backfire Union with meat? You are so powerful, even the Golden Core Great Treasure cultivator is not enough at all, can we say no? Senior, you are. Until this time, the only one of the 200 Sky Black Union cultivators, the middle-aged Golden Core cultivator wearing a purple-red shape-shift great art suit, finally responded and asked for a quick trip. I and Zhang Sunjing, they are friends, just coming over from the northern Luo city. I heard that you have something here. I ran over. Weisuo laughed, ordered a head drum a good Great Treasure a bag, wearing a white cloth underwear in so shook the tall old man. I would have wanted to reasoning, and this guy to speak reasonable, the result he is really sensible, not only obediently obedient, also took a one of my favorite intercourse to eat the fly snow white but Great Treasure pinchoni I out to bake me to eat. I will greet them all come together to eat barbecue. It is the chapter Old Devil. This turned out to be his advanced Snow White but Great Treasure, which is comparable to the Golden Core third layer. This is a white snow but Great Treasure. It was actually baked by him. Now, even if the Sky Black Union cultivator reacts again, from the old treasure of the chapter Old Devil and the vomiting blood, you know what is going on. Luteo. There are seniors Great Treasure to come to the rescue. Stop frying the spiritual stone's veins. For a time, the middle-aged golden cultivator wearing a purple-red shape-shift great art suit had a Great Treasure called Surging Sound. Thank you for your help. Immediately, the 200 Sky Black Union cultivators quickly made a Great Treasure ceremony to Weisuo. They were all surprised by the surprise, knowing that this came down with a great little treasure. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Only a few breaths, among the 3 hills of Feelingling, hundreds of escape lights flew out. As soon as I saw Weisuo and the bare bottom behind him, it seemed that one person was holding a sugar bottle gourds Backfire Union cultivator, and all the Sky Black Union cultivators that flew out could not even believe their eyes. Why, is it not good to eat? Do you disagree with what I said, or do you think this meat is very difficult to eat? At this time, Weisuo looked at the old devil, who was wearing only white clothes, and said, Agree, delicious, delicious. When Weisuo looked at it, Zhang old devil suddenly stuffed the whole piece of meat into his mouth, and the look of his face was ugly. If I have no problem with my ears, I just heard them say that you have a great treasure in Backfire Union. I know that you are also the masters of each other. It is not easy. Since you have eaten barbecue with me, I am not embarrassed, as long as you answered my answer. Wei Suo looked at the obese golden core cultivator, which had always been a smile, and said to the old devil, "Who are you talking about this great treasure, Tianji Divine Lord? Or Zantai Linglan?" Chapter Old Devil knows that in the face of Wei Suo divine ability, there is no secret place to use even if it is tough. Therefore, after biting his teeth, he still said it horizontally. "I am not particularly clear, but very maybe the Northern Divine Lord." Northern Divine Lord Yezaime? The guy who got the inheritance of Northern Bright Sect? I don't know if I got Bright King induction scripture. Wei Suo licked such a sentence in his heart and then nodded with satisfaction. "Good, very good, I am very satisfied, I will eat another piece of barbecue." Then Wei Suo put a great treasure piece of barbecue in his hand to the old devil. Chapter Old Devil is really crying. To be honest, this snow white but great treasure is really delicious, but the key is that he has spent a lot of effort to cultivate it. This is not a taste when he eats. He really regrets that he has no eyes at all. I also put my own flying white but great treasure and tried to kill each other, but now he dare not eat, only with tears and barbecue. If you feel that the taste is not good, you cannot eat it if you can't eat it, but let the chapter Old Devil almost stunned in front of him. When he had already swallowed the great treasure half, Wei Suo suddenly patted him and said this to him. Seeing the old devil of the chapter, the Sky Black Union cultivator from the gathering point of the Feelingling cultivator is also speechless, because this chapter Old Devil is also famous in the Sky Black Union, and is famous for Backfire Union. A fierce person. Where is your divine lord? Where can you find him, or can you pass some news and let him come over? Wei Suo didn't seem to see the old devil's madness, but it seemed to be a very good relationship. Like the brothers and brothers, he took a picture of old devil and continued to ask. I still have to deal with the divine lord of Biming? Where did this person come out, actually seems to be able to eat divine lord? Wei Suo exported the sentence, and all the people present suddenly took a breath of air. Right, what is the cultivation base of the divine lord in Biming? At this time, Wei Suo seemed to think of something again, and asked the old devil intimate to ask the sentence. Even the people of Sky Black Union almost stunnedly fainted, and the tone was so fierce. Lust even opposes what cultivation base does not know, so dare to be so fierce? This who? The naked body is not clear, but it has broken the divine mystic fifth layer 20 years ago. Chapter Old Devil is also hard to say, and it's hard to swallow. The command I accepted was to take down this secret place. I don't know all the other people's whereabouts, but I heard that he might be nearby. However, I can only get the news that I can't help it. As for whether he will come over, I don't know. That's it again. Wei Suo know the chapter Old Devil, this is the truth, because from he had also asked the golden core cultivator he caught, the answer is the same. They are also instructed to act, only know what to do. In the end, how many Backfire Union cultivator in other places, there is the who, Backfire Union for the West Sea great treasure, what the plan, but also ignorant. It seems that you must at least hold on to divine mystic great treasure to be able to figure it out completely. Our aurora is in the treasure receiving pocket that you have collected. When I heard the words of Wei Suo's, the chapter Old Devil just said the sentence with great pain, and when all the cultivators of Sky Black Union heard it, they suddenly changed their face. Predecess. Reassured, anyway, I didn't come to you, you have already hung up, great treasure, I can't beat it, and the great treasure home will be hanged again. Wei Suo put a bunch of treasure receiving pocket in front of the chapter Old Devil and let the chapter Old Devil pick it up. Come on again, I heard that the first half of Wei Suo was relieved. The Sky Black Union cultivator was a must, but after hearing the second half of Wei Suo's carelessness, the group of Sky Black Union cultivators almost stunned. Boom! In the silent look of this group of Sky Black Union cultivators, the chapter Old Devil spurred a silver shapeshift great art symbol, forming a skyrocketing silver arrow, and then the sky long silver long arrow burst into flames. 8 silver lights, scattered and spurt out. Don't let me down, so I have a powerful character. Looking at the sky-filled silver arrow, Wei Suo he smiled and said in his heart, or else the meeting for Zhang Sun Ziru is not enough.